One day, presumably while the prophet Daniel was out of town, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, decided to have a worship party. But he did not wish to worship God. Instead, he decided to make a golden idol for all the people of Babylon to worship. As soon as the music started, everyone was told to bow down and worship the golden image. Anyone who did not would be thrown into a burning furnace. Some of the king's astrologers came forward to tattletale on 3 young Jewish men. They said to the king, "There are some Jews whom you have put over the affairs of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your majesty. They neither serve your gods nor worship the image of gold you have set up." The king was rather upset at this. He said to the 3 young men, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the image of gold that I have set up?" Hoping to give the boys a second chance, the king said, "When you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, and pipe, and all kinds of music, if you're ready to fall down and worship the image I have made, very good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown immediately into a blazing furnace. Then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand? If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, then the God we serve will be able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he does not, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up." The king was now furious with rage. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual and commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent and the furnace was so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The 3 young men, firmly tied, fell out of the dead soldiers' hands and into the blazing furnace. The king looked into the furnace to see what had happened to the boys. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked the astrologers, "Weren't there 3 men we tied up and threw into the fire?" They replied, "Certainly, your majesty." He said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." Nebuchadnezzar then approached the opening of the blazing furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire, and the satraps, prefects, governors, and royal advisors crowded around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies, nor was a hair on their heads singed. Their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel to rescue his servants." They trusted in him and defied the king's command and were willing to give up their lives rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore I decree that the people of any nation or language who say anything against the God of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego be cut into pieces, and their houses be turned into piles of rubble, for no other God can save in this way. The 3 young men wondered if the king had truly gotten the point of the miracle, but said nothing. They were happy to see that he was coming along.